Morning, everyone. This is Rambling Collector here, back with another book review for all of you today. And this is actually a novel that I've just recently finished. So today, we will be talking about The Novice by Taron Matharu. And funny enough, this was actually given to me as a recommendation and a challenge by a subscriber to this channel, named Sonoshi. Which, by the way, this book was actually decently thick, and apparently the first of the Summoner series. A series that I had never heard of until this was recommended to me. So, to shout out, thank you so much, Sonoshi, for recommending this novel. With that being said, let's talk about some of the highlights. So first of all, The Novice being the first of a series really has to manage to hook you in, and I think it did that in a fantastic way for this novel especially. As the first of a series, it did very well. So first of all, this did a fantastic job of showcasing a world at war in a fantasy setting, with advancing technology on the rise, such as the invention of the musket. So currently in this world, you have the humans in the kingdom of Hominum, as well as the elves and dwarves, who are all at war with the orcs. Or rather, humans are at war with the elves, but in peace talks with them, as well as in a rising collaboration with dwarves, since dwarves are actually building better swords, as well as the muskets that allow humanity to fight against the raging orcs, who've been encroaching on their territory thanks to the unveiling of what they call an albino orc, which is essentially a spiritual and natural leader for the orc race. So, to do all of that in the first novel, to create a world at war, is a fascinating way to look at it. And I've read a lot of Warhammer, but I don't think I've read any fantasy types that deal with the war, unless of course you count The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. But that's more of a rebellion rather than a full-scale war. Anyways, more than that though, this really is not afraid to highlight some of the various societal issues within their world, such as classism and racism. And you see that blatantly with evidence of the nobles essentially being trained from birth as summoners with their royal blood, being able to have very rare and powerful demons passed down from parent to child. Meanwhile, you have commoners coming up who have a lower ranking of power and thus have lower classes of demons, and that is blatant there. But more importantly, though, you definitely see a lot of blatant racism here, with the fact that while the humans rely a lot on the muskets of the dwarves to be able to actually fight off against the orcs, you have some nobles who are willing to risk causing a war with another race that they are currently in peace talks with just to be able to earn more money, which is disgusting, but it just goes to show how the noble class can sometimes be absolute... what's the word I'm looking for here? The superiority complex is one thing, but just blatantly disgusting. Kind of like Littlefinger from the Song of Ice and Fire series, or of course, the Lannisters, as obvious examples here. But the racism part was just absolutely surprising of how blatant it was. It wasn't just like a snide word here. It was like public executions and essentially tracking down parties of a certain race to exterminate them or start a war. And the funny thing is, they actually have a reference to a real-life gang in this novel, aka the Pinkertons. And if you all know your history, you'll know that the Pinkertons are very messed up. So having them as a police force of brutes is a real nod to real-world history here. And that definitely caught me off guard when I saw it in this novel. I was just like, wait, what? They actually went there? The author really knows their history, is all I'm going to say here now. But, and more than that, it comes down to a main character. And with Fletcher, he is already a very well done character with a lot of the different facets to his, well, his character. You have a man on the run after his summoned salamander, Ignatius, nearly kills a noble in his local town of Pelt. After this noble loses in a bar fight to Fletcher and then plans to kill him and hide his body in a graveyard, of all things. And then, right after that, after Fletcher has no choice but to defend himself, only to go on the run, he is then enrolled in the Academy of Vocans to learn how to be a summoner and be able to essentially hide in the military. But more than that, we see his mysterious parentage. Fletcher is an orphan with no known parents, though there is a lot of assumptions to his parentage throughout this novel, but it really leaves a lot of dangling threads there, wondering just where exactly he comes from, why he was left in the doorstep of Pelt with not even a scrap of cloth on him to freeze and die in the winter. Like, who would possibly want to do something like that to an innocent baby? It really makes you wonder and really try to question, where exactly does Fletcher come from? Who are his parents? Why would they leave him to die in front of a town in the middle of winter? But more than that, though, I really like how Fletcher here is just the classic underdog, which I know is an overdone trait in both literature and shows and animation and all that stuff, but you can't deny everyone loves an underdog, and that is exactly what Fletcher is. He's an underdog, but he's a well-done underdog, with just making an alliance with an elf student, a dwarf student, and trying to help essentially form a union with the other races through these new practitioners. It's a great way to do it, in my personal opinion. But other than that, I really liked some of the stuff here that was shown in this novel, such as the explanations of demons and magic, which were interesting, focusing on demonology as well as the various uses of magic involving things like glyphs, mana, and summoning. All of which was explained very well in just this one novel, which is about 350 pages, which isn't bad for a start, in my personal opinion. But more than that, this ends on a major cliffhanger, which brings back a major plot point from the beginning of the novel, which was kind of left to the side after a while. But then after that, it comes back with force, and it is going to be very well explored in the second novel, which there is a preview of at the end of this one. I can safely say, once I have finished reading all the indie works that I've collected, I will definitely be diving back into the Summoner series even more so, because that cliffhanger left me hungry for more. But anyways, that's just all the highlights of this one novel. But let's move on to random thoughts here. So, random thoughts here, first of all. I will say, one of the characters I have grown to absolutely detest, and I know you're supposed to hate him, but the way that the author, Taron, made them so unlikable is just crazy to me, in my personal opinion. Like, I know you have characters that you are supposed to hate, but even the hateable characters have something you can probably at least enjoy about them. Now, the character I'm discussing here, Tarquin, is absolutely irredeemable, and I really hope Fletcher is able to give him a huge slice of humble pie, which he does in the end. I won't spoil how, though. But I will say, watching Tarquin get beaten and get a nice slice of humble pie was greatly satisfying when I read it. And like I said, I just finished this novel as of this morning, and it has been a really fast-paced read, in my opinion. And one of the things I definitely enjoyed was that each chapter of this novel was very, very short, which, in my opinion, allows for good reading, and it leaves you on the edge of your seat, wondering you could say you finished this many chapters in a day. In my opinion, that's actually pretty genius, because sometimes when you have a very long chapter, it can feel exhausting at times. You're wondering, when is this chapter going to end? Am I close to the next one? The writer understands this and allows the chapters to be very, very short, which works in a way to grab your attention span as well as make it not as exhausting of an endeavor to finish chapters, you know? It might seem rapid fire, quick, but I think that's the point. It grabs your attention and keeps you linked, but it also allows you to go a steady pace. If you feel like you do not have enough time to read, then at least you could say, hey, I finished another chapter today. That's brilliant in my opinion. As for Tarquin, back to him, sorry for that. Tarquin has to be one of the most disgusting characters I have ever seen. Like, I get the fact that he's a ponce. He's a pompous brat of a noble. And when I first met him, I first thought, oh look, it's the Malfoy to Fletcher's Harry Potter. But no. He was so much worse. Hell, the fact is, during a lesson, when a teacher is on the brink of death from poison, the only thing that this boy is focused on is the fact that there is another demon in the classroom, and he wants to take control of it using his Hydra demon. And as soon as they finish getting this demon out of there, a Shrike, by the way, which is like a giant demonic bird, Tarquin immediately turns on Fletcher as their teacher is laying there dying and just says, "You idiot, Fletcher. I wanted to grab him as my second demon." And I'm like, dude, you're focused on that and not the fact that you almost died? You selfish bastard. Which, ooh, when I read that, it really enraged me and made me think, this character is going to be irredeemable, and I cannot wait to see their downfall in the future. If it does come to that. I feel like Tarquin and his sister, Isadora, as well as his whole family, is going to get some major slices of karma in the future, and I cannot wait to see that. The author really makes it to go out of their way to make the nobles unlikable, which, granted, is kind of the point, but to make them that moment where you just wait to see their karma is just, it's brilliant. And I know it sounds childish to say this, but I cannot wait to see these nobles' downfall. I cannot wait to see that, because just that alone disgusted me. And I'm waiting to see Tarquin get further humbled. Anyways, that being said, rant over. Let's go ahead and talk about the final score for this novel alone. So overall, I will say this much. The Novice alone, as the first book of a series, as well as being completely unknown territory to me, really solid 10 out of 10. I cannot wait to see more whenever I do finish up the indie works, first of all, which if you all have seen my channel and you've seen the latest short, you will understand that that might be a while. Please be patient. I promise I will get to any further requests that you have, and more importantly, once again, thank you to Sonoshi for recommending this novel to me. It was an honor to finally fulfill your request after so long. I apologize that it took this long, but more importantly, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you have any other suggestions for me, feel free to shoot them away. As well as thank you to anyone else who follows this channel who sends off requests towards me. I know it might seem like I take a while with these requests, but I can promise you that I will fulfill them. I want to fulfill my promises on this channel. And more importantly, with The Novice, if you haven't read it yet, do yourself a favor and read it. You might be pleasantly surprised. You might think, oh, you look, another young readers series. Yes, but you just might find yourself in the grips of a very well-done fantasy novel. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, or subscribe if you're interested in future content on this channel. More importantly, if you want to see some of the other rambles I've done on this channel, feel free to check out either the indie works that I have covered in the past, which I will leave a link to this playlist here, as well as if you want to see more of the regular books that I've read, there is a link to that playlist as well. Once again, thank you all so much for listening. This is Rambling Collector signing off for now. Have a great day, fellow readers. And more importantly, keep seeing stories.